One of the reasons why I'm sure Growing Veterans, along with just about every other not-for-profit out there, is not running TV ads is because that takes a tremendous amount of money that you guys probably don't have, not at least in spades. So when it comes to the financial challenges that you guys have, what are some of the ones that people might not think of when it comes to running this farm and running a veteran support group?
Well, I think one of the things they might not think about is some of the money that's coming in there. You're supporting veterans' families. Like you're supporting disabled veterans being husbands, raising children. And that's a word I don't even like using because that's that disabled, that's the term that the VA puts on us. So, but that's something I don't think they think about is this, like humanizing us is like, hey, look, I'm not asking for a ton of money. Like I just want to put a roof over my family's head. Yeah. I want to be able to feed my child or, my family. And I want to keep the lights on. And so some of the other things that people might not think about is the ability then to hold those events and spaces like our peer support training, right? I shared last time we've lost some funding for that. And so not getting funding for that, all of a sudden now we can't give those skills, that prevents us from giving those skills to more veterans. Because I feel like the more veterans or the more people in our community that are peer support trained, when veterans go into crisis, and it doesn't even have to be a veteran, it can just be anyone who's experienced trauma, right? Because when you look at our curriculum of our peer support training, really what it boils down to is somebody who's gone through a traumatic experience and how to talk to people when they're having a tough time accepting that traumatic experience. And so this is the peer support training, I think, is a skill that can go, can be learned by anyone, used by anyone. And it just creates a kind of a more welcoming, open, transparent, vulnerable environment. And because you really got to be transparent and vulnerable to do a lot of that moral injury healing.
Moral injuries. Can you unpack what is a moral injury?
The moral injury. So, right, they have these religious beliefs, moral beliefs, ethics of the way they should live lives and conduct themselves. They get into the military, and all of a sudden you're asking, hey, we're going to activate this infantry battalion. We're putting them here, and you're going to be kicking doors in and searching houses. And the matter of the fact is that there's going to be lives lost on both sides in situations like that. And all of a sudden you might have a person who grew up in Georgia and he grew up a Southern Baptist and he really had these strong morals. And then all of a sudden, he was asked to do it. He's like doing it in the protection of his country. But then at the end of the day, he's got to go home and think about, man, I pointed this rifle directly at somebody. I shot them. They are no longer on this earth, whether they're the bad guy or not. Because unfortunately, too, there's situations that you witness overseas where all of a sudden, you're realizing, oh, we misread the situation. These were innocent people that are, and that's just unfortunately some of the casualties of war. Yeah. And so that's something that really sticks to people, right? Whether you were the person behind the trigger or not, sometimes just witnessing a moment like that, you're just like, oh man, they were coming here looking for help, but because they did and said the wrong things, we ended up shooting at them. Yeah. And so that's something I think that's really hard. So that's kind of moral injury, right? It's more of really hurts your heart, your soul. It's PTSD that can come from physical injuries as well, but moral injury really comes down to, I think, damaging your own soul because of something that you really held near and dear to yourself, a belief that you had, and you went against it. But you talk to a lot of veterans who struggle from moral injury. A lot of them might have been in situations, well, it might have been me or it might have been them. Yeah. And so that's, they probably well, I'm glad I'm still here, but that doesn't just make that memory, that moment in their life disappear.
No, I count it a privilege to have grown up in communities with so many veterans. I went to a church that was effectively a military church. Just a lot of folks that went through the service and came out. And I remember the stories that we would hear. And powerful, strong men of good conscience, God-fearing men. And it hurt to hear the stories and the ways that they would have to tell them, not because they did things that were wrong necessarily, but just with the weight that these events had on them. It's not exactly the time and place for those kinds of stories, I suppose, on a business podcast. But touching back on something that you made mention of, it's how so many in the military communities, they end up finding God to some capacity. I'm sure that takes lots of different shapes and forms. But I remember someone explaining once about why specifically the Israelites, way back in biblical times, oftentimes it was instituted that should certain laws be broken, there would be a stoning. But the stonings weren't ever done by one single person. It wasn't a one-man execution force. It was the whole corporate body that would come together. And it was one of the reasons why was because you never knew when the killing blow was struck. Everyone in the corporate community took a piece of that moment. It was never burdened on one single person, because that is a tremendous weight for someone to carry for the entirety of their lives.
Absolutely. And we're offering a space at Growing Veterans where if you're carrying that weight, come to our farm. You'll find brothers and sisters that are willing to carry that burden with you. You know, that's why we say, come to our farm, be transparent, be vulnerable, open up about your experience, because it's not your, you had a country ask you to go do what you did. The country should be here to help you, carry that burden. And that's what we're offering at Growing Veterans is you're not in this alone. We can help you carry this burden.
No, absolutely. And it really is a testament to just how powerful that is, because you are stronger when you are in fellowship with other people. The amount that you as a corporate body are able to take on when it comes to that emotional toll, it is exponential. It's not just two people being able to carry on the weights of two people. No, those two people are able to support a third and then a fourth. And then it grows and grows and grows. And it's why veteran support communities are so frequent. There are so many of them of different stripes and colors, and it's because they're needed. They're needed in different forms because not everyone is able to find that fellowship in the exact same forms as others. But it's still needed, and it's always corporate. It's always with other people. Absolutely.
Community, I don't think I realized personally how important community was until just like the last, I've been here since October. So 8 months or so. And I'm realizing how important it was. And, there was a part of my life where I'm just like, I'm fine being a hermit or a shut in or whatever. I'm like, I'm happier by myself, And the thing is, though, it's like, I think it's important sometimes for veterans to seek solitude, but sometimes the solitude, right? A moment of solitude can slip away into isolation.
Yeah.
And then I think it's tricky to know when you've gone from seeking solitude into dwelling in isolation. And then when you dwell in that isolation, that's where that mental health can get wacky. You can get in your own head. And since you're not talking or opening up to anyone, it's just everything in your head. And then it's whatever maybe you're consuming via your phone or TV, whatever's on the news. And it's a bad place to be, isolating yourself and distancing yourself from everyone.